In this video, we are going to explain the reasons for the smoothness of consumption function. We know that consumption is an important part of the aggregate demand. And of various components in aggregate demand, consumption is said to be the smoother one. So here we are going to address the question, why is consumption smooth? A basic source of stabilization in any economy comes from the desire of households to keep the level of their consumption of goods and services constant. So, households always try to keep the level of their consumption of goods and services constant. They will not make frequent changes, sudden changes in their consumption levels. It does mean that they will neither increase consumption nor reduce consumption immediately. That means they will try to keep their consumption as constant as possible. So the intermittent changes in the level of income would not influence the level of consumption that households make. And keeping a steady level of consumption means households have to plan. And for this, that means to keep the consumption level almost constant, the households have to make certain kind of plans. And we are going to explain such type of plans in this video. Households think about what might happen to their income in future and they save and borrow to smooth the bumps in income. So income they may get in different forms. Sometimes they may get income, high level of income. Sometimes they may face a shortfall in income. So therefore, whenever they get excess income, they are likely to save that. And whenever they feel that there is a shortfall of income, then they will borrow. So it is through the process of borrowing and lending, people always adjust their consumption to a constant level. Now, this figure explains the smoothness of consumption by the households. And here, along the horizontal axis, we show the time, and along the vertical axis, we show two things: income and consumption. And the blue line represents the path of income, and the red line shows the path of consumption. And see that when the individual start work, so here look at the horizontal axis, we have three stages on the horizontal axis. One is starting to work, and second when the individual gets a promotion, and third retirement. So we divide the whole lifespan of an individual into three, that is till the period when he gets the job, that is start work, and from start work to promotion, and from promotion to retirement, and after retirement. So we make three cutoff points: start work, promotion, retirement. Okay, till the time he starts work, we see that his consumption and income are more or less same. That is why till the time the individual starts working, the red line actually coincides with the blue line. It does mean that there is no much difference between the path of income and path of consumption. But soon after getting the work, we see that his path of consumption line lies above the path of income line. What does it mean? The meaning is that after starting to work, his consumption may be raised, but his level of income is low. Therefore, to smoothen the consumption, what he does is that he borrows money from banks or other sources. Then, after getting the promotion, we see a different picture. After getting the promotion, we see that the path of income is high, that lies above the path of consumption. What does it mean? It means that the person now has more income than consumption. Therefore, the more income is used by this person for saving and for repaying the earlier debt. Then after retirement, what happens? After retirement, his income lines lies below the consumption line. That means here he will run down the earlier savings. The earlier savings he will run down, and so that he stabilizes his consumption. Now, this can be more clearly elaborated with the help of the next slide. We can use the above figure to visualize an individual's tendency to smooth consumption expenditure. In the simple example, before starting work, the individual's income and consumption expenditure are the same. The blue line shows the path of income line. It starts low, rises when the individual is promoted, and falls at retirement. The red line is a consumption line. It is a smooth from the point at which the individual first gets a job, the individual borrows when income is low. The individual saves and repays the debt when older and earning more, and finally runs down savings after retirement when income falls again. The model of decision making highlights the desire of households for a smooth path of consumption. Now, how do households cope with fluctuations that can cut their income in half from one season to the next? So the question is, how do households cope up with these kind of fluctuations? Suppose that there is a decline in income from one season to the other season, then how do the households cope with that fluctuation in income? There are two type of situations. To explain this, we distinguish two type of situations. One is good or bad fortune strikes the household. For example, when disease affects a family's animals, or when a family member who plays an important role in farming is injured. So this is a bad time because the family gets affected by the loss of the wealth due to the disease a, of an animal, or when the earning member of the family gets injured, then there will be a bad time for the family. So this is the bad time for an individual or a family. Now let's consider the bad time for the economy. Good or bad time fortune strikes the economy as a whole. For example, when drought happens, when disease or communicable disease spreads, when there is occurrence of flood or war or an earthquake, and this will affect the economy as a whole. So there are two type of situations. One is a situation when the individual or the household gets affected by certain untoward incidents. Second is a situation or good or bad time for the economy as a whole. That means this is a case where the economy gets affected due to drought or due to disease or any kind of such situations. Then people use two strategies to deal with these shocks and that are specific to their households. One is self-insurance. So to cope up with these fluctuations, like the one which is affecting the household, then the household can take an insurance against that, self-insurance. Households that encounter an unusually high income in some period will save so that when their luck reverses, they can spend their savings. It is called self-insurance because other households are not involved here. A household on his own, a household member on his own or on her own takes certain insurances to insulate herself or himself from certain kinds of untoward incidents. Then there is another thing like co-insurance. Households that have been fortunate during a particular period can help a household hit by bad luck. That means there is co-insurance. That means a good house means a well endowed household, a well-rich household is helping the he's helping a household hit by a bad luck. So that's a family. It is just like a case where a family is helping the other family. So this is what's called co-insurance. Sometimes this is done among members of extended families or among friends and neighbors. Since the mid 20th century, particularly in richer countries, co-insurance has taken the form of citizens paying taxes, which are then used to support individuals who are temporarily out of work and unemployment benefits. So we have unemployment benefits in various countries. That's a kind of coincidence because people pay tax to the government. Wealthier people or richer people pay tax to the government. Using the tax proceeds, the government can give certain compensation or government can temporarily help the unemployed people. So this is also a kind of co-insurance where the rich people seem to be helping the poor people in times of difficulties. Now, these strategies reflect two important aspects of household preferences. The first one is people prefer a smooth pattern of consumption because means they help each other. Means some people help the people hit by the diseases. So that's co-insurance. So self-insurance and co-insurance are two important strategies through which you can smooth your pattern of consumption. Households are not solely selfish, they are willing to provide support to each other to help smooth the effect of good and bad luck. They often trust others to do the same, even when they do not have a way of enforcing this. Altruistic and reciprocal preferences remain important even when coinsurance takes the form of tax support and employment benefit, because these are among the motives for supporting the public policies in question. So, in short, what we see is that the through this self-insurance and co-insurance, we will be able to make the consumption very smooth.